Hello, it's day 7, Chaos to Cooperation, and I am happy to be back here on a Sunday. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so some of you may be eating dinner. We've had a lot of football on in our house today, but it was definitely good to sit and reflect on perfectionism and, how can I take control of those feelings, those either anger or whatever those feelings are. So if you hop on, I'm gonna make sure the comments work. So I got everything up, and last night it worked out well. So here's hoping for today. So make a comment and say hello if you're here. And tell me if you were able to listen to the recording with Dr. Shefali and Lori, and what did you walk away with? So has perfectionism fueled your reactivity? Is that something that you weren't sure about before and now you are? I know perfectionism definitely hits home for me. It's something that I've struggled with for probably most of my life. So if you're here, say hello. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it on a Sunday. And if you're not, you get the recording. Just share what's going on with you and what's going well, and how is perfectionism showing up in your life. So Dr. Shefali, I read her book, Conscious Parenting, in 2013. It was my first introduction to conscious parenting. And as I read through it, I had some moments of sadness, like, oh, I've been hurting my child and I really need to look at myself. And it was a little bit difficult emotionally to work through, but at the end, it gave me a new perspective, a new way of doing this parenting thing. So I recommend checking out her book if you haven't already. It definitely gets you to look inward, and you might have to read it a few times. When I went to Teach Through Love, that really helped me take that information and create a path so I could work through all that stuff that was coming up for me. I'm just going to touch on a couple things that she shared, and if you want to share, please do. One thing that she said was, and I think we've said this through, hi Emily, glad you're here. One thing that she said was our children are not being done to us. They're not doing something to us, right? Whatever's happening within us, that's what's being done to us. It's within us. And so it's really taking responsibility for those feelings that come up. And she says reactivity is the first step to understanding that something's going on. So that's our signal. When we're reacting, that's saying, okay, you need to pause and you need to kind of look inward and see what's going on there. It's not necessarily a negative thing, right? It shows us what's going on, that something's going on. And then to let go of reactivity, she says, first we need to recognize that everything before us that happens is to show us how we're meant to grow. So those things that are happening before us, those challenges, are showing us how to grow. And then she says you need to work toward understanding how we feel in our body, how we feel with our emotions, and aware in the moment, right? So let's talk about perfectionism. I know I've learned that perfectionism is my coping mechanism to avoiding blame, shame, and judgment. That if I'm perfect, if I get it correct, if I am accurate, then I can avoid those things. Because most of my life, I had a lot of blame, shame, and guilt, like many of us, right? And so as I grew up, I didn't really have self-worth. I didn't really understand how to do life any different. So then when I became a parent, whoa, that perfectionism just skyrocketed. And I felt more control of the perfection, right? If things were perfect, then I felt control, and then I felt safe. And so I don't know if any of you experienced that growing up. My job for over 20 years and still now, I feel like I must control everything, right? My job was, I was praised on things being accurate, things being perfect, things being done fast. So when you're praised for that for over 20 years, your brain looks for it, like you're looking for that. So if you mess up, it's like devastating. Like I made a mistake. And it actually, I would have this intense feeling, and I still do sometimes, where I just feel sad and I feel like I disappointed someone. I didn't feel like they're not going to like me. They don't accept me, right? My job too, planning, scheduling, producing, right? And so we've programmed ourselves. And then what I did was I put it on my child. So I want him to do everything correct, everything fast. Because to me in my brain, then you're okay. So I'm forcing that on him. It's just so interesting how that shows up. And so to shift that and know my value isn't dependent on perfection, which isn't even something you can achieve. It's on the connection and the relationship, right? So we have to do a lot of reprogramming. So the pausing, identifying, and figuring it out so that you can start changing it. And it's not going to change like overnight, right? I mean, I still have this stuff come up to this day, but I'm aware of it. So I can have a different response to connect these traits of mine to my parenting. Yeah, it's insight. And for me, I had some traumatic things happen in my life, and I kind of felt like I didn't have control. So I definitely see that now in life, that I feel like control makes me feel safe. It has this false feeling of safety for me. So I want to control so I feel safe, and I want to control my son so that makes me feel safe. And it doesn't help him. It's limited him because he needs to unfold to be the person he wants to be, right? Not me trying to make him be a certain way. It's been pretty eye-opening how much I've wanted to control everything. Even now, I can't read his papers because he will say, I'll be looking for the flaws. So I'll be reading it, and then I'm like, oh wait, you didn't do that right. Oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not right. And he's like, Mom, let me read it to you. So he actually reads his papers to me, so I'm not looking at all the typos and the fault, everything that's not correct. And I just hear what he's trying to say. And then we kind of go baby step, like, what do we need to work on? Because he was told me, I feel like I never do anything right. I feel like I'm not good enough. And that was huge eye-opening for me. I don't know if you guys ever have this happen, but when you're stressed, I get correcting. Like when I'm stressed, I start correcting things. I start trying to control things. So I know that I need to take care of my own internal feelings before I start connecting with anybody. Because I've done it in work situations where, example, we were having a meeting, I was feeling super stressed, and this one person said something that wasn't accurate. And I was like, no, it was 4:30, not 4:45 or whatever. Like I just wanted that correctness, that accuracy to feel in control. It's just interesting how it shows up. So stress cleaning, yeah, you just want to feel like something is working the way you want it to, right? So Emily, did you get a chance to listen to the recording? Did anything show up for you? I'd love to hear it. How this perfectionism, like being this certain way, maybe we compare ourselves to other people. Maybe we didn't want to be like our parents, so we're going to the extreme, right? Okay, I totally recommend it. You'll love it. So she talks about, mirroring how our children, I bet, our children can tell us through mirroring, right? Like how we're showing up. So they're either saying, why are you so angry? Or they're showing up like we're showing up. So they're kind of mirroring what we need to work on, right? Yeah. So some of us outwardly lash when we react. I know I've done that. I do that. I react with tone, or I get really correcting and want things a certain way, controlling, or inward where we shut down. So kind of looking at how am I doing that, right? Yeah. Am I Am I shutting down? Because I will shut down. I'll just walk away and not communicate. And I need to say, and I try to work on now, like, hey, I just need to take a moment. I'll be right back. I can say to my son now that he's older, I'm just having to work through some feelings. It's not you. I got to work through these feelings. Let me just take a moment. I'll come back. So he can understand now. When he was younger, I just say, I just need to take a pause. I need to go get a drink of water, right? So figuring out how you're reacting and then shifting that. I love that she talked about the wounds. So looking for our children to fill those wounds. And for me, the gift really is that our children are helping us heal. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional. What a gift that they are helping us heal and resolve. And if we take that opportunity to listen, like when I'm reacting at you, I need to look at myself and I need to heal. And that's a big responsibility, right? To help your parents heal. Like they didn't ask for that. So I feel like it's my number one priority to work on me so that I can support my child and not ask my child to fill that hole and not ask my child to make me complete. And she talks about that. Like we're wanting them to complete those parts of us. So if I didn't feel safe or I didn't feel valued, and then I'm looking for my child, right? It's a huge awareness. It's huge. And I think too, I have more compassion for my parents because they didn't know, right? They don't know. And it's still hard. I still have a little resentment and anger, but they did the best they could. We all are. We don't get this little parent handbook. I mean, now we have it, right? We have a path that we can follow. But when we're newly in it, like what kind of thoughts did you guys have before you were parents? What do you think it was going to be like? Is it different than what you thought? What did you think parenting would be like? Because I know for me, I didn't really think about what it was going to be like. I just kind of said, yeah, we're going to have a family and I'll figure it out. Which I'm such a planner, so I'm surprised I had that mentality. Maybe because I was in my 20s. But yeah, we don't get a parent handbook. We kind of learn as we go, and then it comes out in so many ways. Our kids really show us. Yeah, have no idea. And then when they're little, it's a little bit easier because they can't talk. And then when they get to toddler, they're reacting and they don't know how to handle their emotions. And so sometimes when I react, I picture myself as a little toddler. Like I'm older. I need to learn how to manage my feelings, right? Like they're little, they don't know how. Why am I acting like that? I have some growing up to do. I'm kind of being immature right now. But yeah, what kind of ideas did we have? And now that we're here, we can make a different choice. So I always say, my first thought, I might not have control over. But my second thought, if I pause, I can shift that thought and I can have a different experience. I can calm myself down. I can think something different. I can look at the truth, right? My child is not the problem. My child's having a problem. What am I trying to have my child feel right now? And if I can have that thought, then I can have a different feeling. It's like, okay, there you go again, Sandra. You're trying to have your child fix you. My first thought, right? My first thought isn't always going to be the truth. It's going to be whatever belief system I have. Yeah. So it's just these little things that I've done. Like I think of myself as perfectly imperfect. I even have a shirt on tonight. It says perfectly imperfect because there's no perfect. I have to have all these words up all the time to remind me, to keep me on track, because I'll go right back into my head. I'll go right back into my pattern. It's like, practice the pause, perfectly imperfect. My first thought is, I can have a second thought, right? So try to create an environment for yourself where you get those reminders because we need them. We're shifting, we're changing, and be kind to yourself. And when you have that reaction, okay, it's a signal. What's going on here? I got to sit and think about it. So for you guys, how does perfectionism show up for you? What do you identify with perfectionism? Or how do you kind of manage your anger? Like the questions were, when I feel triggered, I will meet my needs by, what did you come up with? What will you do when you feel triggered? And have you identified your triggers? Because that's kind of the first step. Like, what's triggering me? And if I get triggered, what will I do? What will be my first step? What do you guys think? Hi, Vanessa. I'm so glad you're here. I know sometimes there's a delay, so I'm just going to sit for a second and not speak. Hey, that's a great pause. Yeah, not speak. That's a good one. Okay, my strategy is I'm not going to speak. I'm going to pause. That's awesome. Vanessa, what do you think? What do you think your first thing should be? Try not to react. Yeah. So I always say I'm going to respond. I'm not going to react. And I got to slow down and pause so that I don't, because still trying to figure out the triggers. Good. Yeah. You know, it takes time. To be honest, like I've been doing this for a long time, and this last 10 days, more stuff's coming up. I'm having more awareness around things. Or, hey, you know what? I didn't really resolve that. It's showing me that I still got that going on, and it's going to come up once in a while if I'm stressed, right? But not speak as well. Like, take the time, and that could be your first thing, not speak, and then see what happens. And then you add to that, okay, I'm not going to speak. I'm going to go get a drink of water, right? Or in the video she talks about, which is kind of a cool strategy, is if you can't leave your house because you have your kids, she talks about looking outside and connecting with nature, like just looking at a leaf or the grass or the trees or just the sun or whatever's outside. Maybe it's your neighbors, right? But there's something outside that's nature to connect with that, because that can calm you. So figure out something that your next step is, you're going to do this. So you're building it just like your kids. You're building a new practice. So don't try to do everything at once. Just try one thing and do that for a while. And then you'll build on it. Mine is I pause, I breathe, and then I decide, okay, should I go for a walk? Should I get a drink of water? What should I do that's going to calm me? And then I'll go and connect. And maybe I won't figure out what my needs are right then. Sometimes it's kind of hard when you're in emotion. So you come back to it. I'm not really a journaler, but, you know, I type stuff out, or you can record yourself. So Emily says, some of my triggers are when my son gets so frustrated, he throws down whatever he's doing, or he yells or grows, haha, or when he cries and tells about not getting his way, or whines and complains about things. He's 5 for reference. I'm not sure what my needs are, though. That's a good point. Yeah, good. You know, you're understanding that you want him to be different, right? You don't want him doing that. That's probably triggering something in you. Maybe you need peace. Maybe you need cooperation, right? So if he's getting frustrated and he's throwing things, how can you connect, like help him do something physical maybe, right? Growls, something physical, something to get those feelings out. And then maybe reflect on what happened before he got to that point. What maybe could have caused that. My son has taken years with self-regulation. When he gets upset, he still will like throw stuff. Like he'll throw a pencil, he'll crumple up paper, because he's feeling that feeling and he's trying to figure out a way to regulate himself. Maybe it's a stuffed animal that they squeeze. In baseball, he would throw the bat, and in football, he would get upset. Peace. And yes, physical is so helpful. I would give him this water bottle he could just squeeze so he could get those feelings out. It takes time for them to figure out a new strategy. It does. It's things that usually feel good that are physical that get it out. And then you can maybe figure out what's happening for him to cause that. What's the frustration, and can you work with him? And he's 5, you're right. Like, my son's 14 and he still gets frustrated. I have a 12-year-old daughter and emotions are strong. This past week, it's been very helpful. Oh, and strong. Yeah. 12. So that's that adolescence, right? Their brain is starting to change and they're moving into a different time. And so I'm sure, and with things in the world, that can play a part on it. I can see my throwing a bat too. Yeah. I ask her to breathe. That's so good. Like, that's the first step. Like, figuring out how to calm herself. And then maybe go for a walk. Do something active, right? Walking really helps us. Like, let's just go for a walk and let's talk it out. Just tell me whatever you want. Figuring it out. Yep. And I'm still figuring it out. Seems like it's something new all the time, right? Something comes up, but you just try different things. Especially if they're little, you just got to try different things and see what works. And some things will stick and some things won't. And that's okay. A beanbag was a gift for us. Like, we have a sensory beanbag. We still have it. Just that crashing into the beanbag, it just feels so good. It does. That's where we're at now, figuring it out. I think part of it is feeling heard or like he has control over things. Yeah. He wants to feel like he has control, just like us, right? He wants to feel that. And so we can relate to our children in so many ways, right? We want things a certain way. They want things a certain way. So how do we support them in that? So Vanessa, with your 12-year-old and the breathing and the strong emotions, is she seeing a difference with the breathing? I always think that's such a gift. It's like, oh, it's an involuntary muscle and we can use it to calm ourselves, right? It just happens. That's how we live. 12 is a different age. I know when my son turned 12, it definitely shifted for us. And now 14, it's like every year it's something different that we have to kind of look at. We are working on it. That's good. It takes time for sure. Mindfulness is kind of a neat thing when you do mindful meditation. So you're kind of talking through. One thing that's kind of fun, I don't know, just to quiet the mind, is I do an exercise called mindful eating, where you sit and you have to go super slow. Like, we go slow while we're eating and we kind of calm ourselves and we think about, what does that taste like? What does that look like? And we have to just kind of put the food in our mouth. And so doing different things that can kind of calm the brain. I'm also sort of dealing with family that's not fully on board with these methods of communicating with kiddos. So I found myself feeling a little insecure about speaking and acting in these new ways in front of them. That's hard. I've been in the same situation. And so just be gentle with yourself and know, you know what, this is something you're trying and you're going to see what happens. And you know what, they can have their opinions and you can validate them. I understand that this might feel uncomfortable for you, or maybe you don't understand this method. I get it. This is something we're just trying to see, right? So even validating their feelings, but not letting it impact what you're trying to do, the work you're trying to do. My husband and parents are open to it, but are still in the, we grew up this way and respected elders, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. I understand that worked for you. We're just trying something different to see if we have a different result, right? Yeah. So it's validating them just like you would your child, and just kind of doing your thing and seeing how it impacts you, and they'll see it. They'll see it. It might take time, but they'll see the results. they'll see that it's working for your family, because every family's different. Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm seeing all this. Yeah. So, we don't want to disappoint other people, and we don't want other people to judge us, right? Especially with the perfectionism, we want to avoid that. So it's just knowing that it's okay for them to think that, but you're trying to work on completing you, and you're trying to work on your relationship with your child. And if that's the priority, then you can do both. You can have your opinion, and I can do what I need to do for my family, right? But I get it. It's not easy when other people don't understand. There's people in my life that they don't understand. And we're in a split family, and so his dad definitely does things differently, but I just keep doing what I'm doing. I just keep doing what I'm doing. Now I'm getting, makes me emotional. It is hard. I tried to fight it for so long, like argue, like, no, this is what I'm doing. And now I'm just like, I totally get it. I know I'm the crazy lady, whatever. I'm just going to keep doing it. And I'm not perfect at it, but I'm just going to keep being there for my son, because that's what we do, right? We got to support them. And I got to keep working on me in order for my son to be okay. But yeah, it's a journey for sure. What did she say that I loved? Dr. Shefali said, where I wrote it down. The journey. Oh, I can't find it now, and I wanted to read it. I wrote it down, but it's about our journey and how, I kind of said it, like the journey is that our child comes to us specifically to help resolve and heal, right? So they come to us so that we can heal, we can figure those things out. And I know for me, like, I am pretty into like personal development. I read a bunch of books, but having a child, and even though it took 7 years before I realized I needed some help, I was like, wow, this is really what's helping me grow. Like all those personal development books, business books, no. Being a parent and trying to deal with myself, total growth. He's my teacher, my leader, like my everything, right? I told my husband, I don't know what I'm doing either, but I'm trying. That's all we can do. Sometimes I say stuff to my son and he's like, what? I'm like, I don't know what I just meant. Let's just hug. Like, I'm trying to say things sometimes and they don't come out the right way. But it's just, you have to kind of just go with it. And at the end of the day, it's about the connection, right? So did I connect today? So I have my love tracker that I started when we started with this. And I've been taking notice of when I reacted and if I repaired. So if I react, I need to make sure I repair with my son and connect and say, I was wrong. And then if I just responded, I put a heart. So I'm tracking it. And then every day I ask him to make sure I'm not delusional. Like, okay, did mommy, well, I don't say mommy anymore, but did mom connect, and what does this right? He's like, yeah, you did a good job today. Like, okay. Or, yeah, we had a hard time, but we got through it, right? We learn so much about ourselves being a parent. Yes, Vanessa, don't we? Man, it really just puts it in our face. I absolutely said to my son yesterday, wait, I don't know what I just said. Forget that. I don't know what I'm saying. You're like, I just gonna give you a hug and let's just go take a walk, right? I know, it's okay. You have to laugh at yourself because it's a new thing. It's a new process and you just got to keep practicing. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm just tracking. I'm really trying to be purposeful and not react. And when I get those feelings, I might not address them right away. That if I'm busy, but come back to it. We laughed. Good. That's awesome. And that kind of breaks it too, right? If you're laughing together, you kind of just relax. I know this year my son said I'm way too serious because I'm on a mission all the time to get stuff done. And I'm like, okay, I I need to laugh more. We need to have more fun. This is not the way life's supposed to be. And you're only home for maybe another 4 years. And so I need to make sure I slow down and connect and laugh. So they really show us like what's important, what's the priority. What else do you guys want to share? I just love all this sharing. It's awesome. What do you think you'll do to meet your needs? So when you're triggered, you're not going to speak, right? You're going to pause. What will you do to meet your needs? What do you think your second thing is? And maybe you're still not there yet. What do you think? You've not said a word, you've paused. How will you meet your need? So for me, I wrote down, and this is a need for just, whatever it is, right? You have to figure it out. Eating chocolate. Yeah. Hey, whatever works, right? For me, I have to go take a shower because maybe a shower, or I need to go touch my dog because I need that connection with my dog first. So that I can kind of regulate. So my need would probably first, I'll meet my need by getting connection through something. So if my need is, if I'm triggered by, say for example, he's not doing what he's doing. My need is that that there's cooperation. I can't get my need met with cooperation if I'm not regulated. So what I do to meet my need is to regulate myself first and say, okay, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to write something down. I'm going to hug my dog. I'm going to get get a drink of water. And then I'm going to figure out a way to get the cooperation, not by manipulation, but just to get connection. So get connection and then have empathy. Right? So I'll go back to him and I'll say, hey, I noticed you're having a hard time working on this assignment. How can I help? And if I connect like that, then I'm going to get cooperation. I'm going to get my need because I'm not getting upset, right? So if I self-regulate and I go in with, okay, I'm going to say what I notice. I'm going to have empathy. Then the cooperation comes. Not all the time, but at least I'm regulated and I'm connecting. And then we'll see what happens. And if my need is for respect or whatever the word is that you fill in the blank, maybe using that in your book, in your language, like the cards, and talk about those things. And for me, I'll say, I'm needing consideration. I'm frustrated because I'm needing consideration for my time. You can't really say that to a 5-year-old, right? But for an older kid, I'm frustrated. I'm needing consideration for my time. We're working on this. And then I don't have to say anything else, right? A need for respect, right? So it's not about them. It's just the wording of, I'm feeling frustrated because I need respect right now while we're working together. And maybe they don't know what respect is, so you have to share what that looks like for you. For me, it's just cooperating or consideration for what we're doing. But try to think about, I feel blank because I need this, right? And if they're little, it's an example or showing them what that looks like. I hope that makes sense, right? So what I'm needing when we are trying to get somewhere and there's a lot of lagging, it's like, hey, I'm frustrated because I'm really needing us to be on time and we have 5 minutes. What do we need to do to help you so that we can get out the door? Right? It's not a judgment. It's like, what can we do? What do you need so that we can get out the door? So think about why you're feeling that way, and then what are you needing for that. And sometimes it's not like so deep. It's just I'm needing them to cooperate to get out the door. So how can I phrase it? Thinking about how what we're doing is helping or hurting someone else. That's how we're defining respect for him. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. So what does that look like? So take him through those examples, show him what that means. I think that's great. And I do the same thing for myself. If what I'm going to say is going to help or hurt that person. So this is what helping would look like. This is what hurting would look like, right? Yeah, it is. It's consideration for sure. It's probably a lot of things. And it's okay if they don't get it right away. You can just keep showing them, hey, this is how we want to work together on this. This is how we want to treat our friends. And you can ask them, what does it look like to you to treat your friend nicely? What does that look like for you? You want to draw that out? Do you want to show me? And just kind of get them thinking about it too. Modeling and showing what that looks like. Yeah. And then asking them. And then when they are playing with their friends, then you can kind of see when it's nice or whatever the situation is. And then you can say, hey, remember when you were showing, this friend this? That's helpful. That's nice. You can, or helpful, or that's a good friendship, or however you want to define it. I'm mixing up my words. Keeping that consistency is so powerful. Yeah. Man, I've been inconsistent in some ways and it's not helpful. So the more you can be consistent and practice it and keep it in front of them, just like for yourself, the better for everyone. It's so true. Consistency is the key. And it's sometimes hard to do that. So start with one thing at a time. Anything else you guys want to share or celebrate? Anything you want to celebrate? Yeah, consistency is the goal. I love that. That's something I try to do every day. It is hard. So just pick one thing. Be consistent with one thing and then add to that once you feel like you've mastered it. Or as things come up and they become important, right? So what do you want to celebrate today? You've been working with your child, Vanessa, on breathing. And Emily, you're working with your kiddo on, the physical and trying to calm and regulate. I'm so happy I am. Yeah, that's awesome. And is the breathing probably helping you too? Oh, watching this live. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm here for 3 more days. Is the breathing helping you, Vanessa? Is it helping you calm and regulate? So guys can do it together, or she can see it's helping you. I feel like I've been so more patient this week. Yeah. It does help. It's interesting this last week that I've been working through it with you guys. I've had a different week. I've had a more calm and cooperative week. I meditate every day. Oh, I love it. And the pause is amazing for me. Yeah. That is my practice. The pause is my thing. I just have to have that in my head all the time. My son even says it now. He's like, Mom, practice the pause. He responds to my shift in energy. Oh, I love it. You just have to remind yourself of that, right? So when people in your life are doubting what you're doing, you're seeing the effects that you are having with your children. I practice breathing and trying to have her do it at that. That's such an amazing thing to do with your kids. Like, I didn't start doing that until my 30s. And to have that when you're younger, oh, you're just setting her up for life. Like, you're helping her figure out how to navigate and work through stuff. That's kind of what we're doing, right? We're working through stuff. We're helping our kids work through stuff. It's like amazing. Well, this has been so awesome Sunday evening. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the time we've had together and continue to share. Go back and listen to the recording. It's amazing. That's what I just said to my husband. I didn't learn this stuff until I was 30. Yeah. I know, huh? It's like, well, at least we did, right? At least we're learning. It's not too late. Um, so thank you so much, and I'll be here tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, and just take some time for yourself if you can. Bye, guys.